It seems that we are online, dude.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
looks like it.
Look at us!
We
Look
were
at us!
20 seconds
Oh,
ago.
fuck! Okay, people, we are live.
Hello.
Hello, thank you very much for being here. Thank you. Thank you very much for everybody on the stream. How many people do we have now? Like
We
50, 60?
It's going.
40 people. Okay, welcome everybody on the stream. Welcome everybody to Elevator Sound EU here in Barcelona. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you for having
thank
me.
you for being here. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to have all of you on this big day, on this day when we are presenting not one, not two, but 3 new models. Well, one of them it was presented already on Superbooth, but it feels like it's presenting now.
Yeah, it's changed a lot since
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, so how does it feel to come to sunny Barcelona?
I've had some vitamin D. I don't feel so deficient from the
Yeah, it's
deficient of the sun.
yeah, it's always nice to have some chlorophyll working on your
Yeah.
your system.
Yeah.
So
New modules, Befaco, Elevator Sound. Yeah, great. Today's
super
good.
nice. It's super good. So again, thank you very much for coming. So
If people want to leave comments on the stream, we do have moderators in the stream. We'll be taking Q&A, so pile them in the comment section and we'll keep coming back as we go. Same in the room as well. We'll have questions, shout out at us when we get to that, and yeah, nice interactive, bit of fun.
Nice interruptions. It's always nice. Okay, so today, as we said, we are going to have 3 models being presented, and we're going to be unveiling them slowly during the next hour,
Yeah,
more or
roughly.
less. Hour 15, depending on questions and the flow. So we are going to be starting with the first and only module that was actually presented in public. So we're going to be starting with MIDI Theme 2. MIDI Theme 2 was presented in Superbooth when we had a very mature when we had a very mature demo, but now it's finished. It's in production and it will be available very soon. So
And this is a good place to start for me because I haven't had a chance to try the MIDI thing yet, but I have the others.
yeah,
So I'm with the audience. I have questions.
cool. So yeah, you people might remember our presentation about it. MIDI thing, it's our new iteration on the MIDI to CV conversion. We already had a model, we already had MIDI thing. And yeah, MIDI thing 1 was a simple 4 voices note converter. MIDI thing 2 goes way beyond that. So MIDI thing 2 has 12 channels. All the channels are fully configurable. While the old one was only doing notes, this one is doing
Anything MIDI can dream of.
exactly. So we have the polyphonic system in place, and every voice it's gonna be providing you with a lot of information. You're gonna have the CV and gate, classic, but then we have implemented ADSRs, LFOs. You can have the velocity, you can have an oscillator, so you will get an oscillator on the same frequency of the note arriving, which is...
This is the exciting bit. MIDI and integrating MIDI and other gear is really useful, but the fact that you have a bonus oscillator as well as the voltage to control other oscillators, envelopes when you've run out of envelopes, that's where it gets really exciting, I think.
Yeah, and all this was happening a little bit on the process where we were developing the model and discovering the possibilities of the new hardware. So we managed to do the oscillators, for example, and then we managed to do the ADSR. So it kind of made sense to actually and automatically route the ADSR to the oscillator, meaning that when you are receiving the notes, you will get the oscillator oscillating at that note, and then the ADSR that you have configured applied to the oscillator. So it's actually
A whole
making
digital,
noise.
its own whole digital. I didn't realize it did that. So a whole synth voice.
Yes.
Simple synth voice.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is. So you are gonna have the voices, and so you can have polyphonic voices. You can have up to 12 oscillators
So
if you want to.
That's what I was going to say. So all of that can come out of one output, as opposed to the separate gate, the pitch, the oscillator, the envelope.
Well, yeah, you will get the oscillator in one output,
Responding to the envelope.
Responding to the envelope.
Yeah.
So responding to the voice. So
Yeah.
it's the classic paradigm of voices, of synthesizers, where we used to have like hardware voices, where the synths had the oscillator and the ADSR and the filter. So here with the magic of digital, so we have everything. So you will have your oscillator. It's a square wave oscillator. It's nothing super mega fancy, but it's a square wave oscillator that will have the ADSR applied and the velocity. You can have the velocity as well. So basically you can play your MIDI keyboard and just get the notes.
So you mentioned velocity. Can you apply velocity to the envelopes and have that as a voltage out, or does that only work with the internal voice?
Yeah,
I mean, that becomes really powerful, because in modular that takes having an envelope through a VCA with the velocity control in the VCA. So you're buying a single output becomes what would be 2 or 3 modules.
Yeah. So you're buying the flexibility and then the space. No, it's a 6 HP module. You have 12 outputs, but then you can spare the outputs. For example, if you go to the oscillator way of things, so you will have your oscillator with your VCA already built in and the ADSR. But if you want the ADSR in another output, you just call the ADSR, add the ADSR to the voice, and then you also have the ADSR. Then you can have the velocity as well, or apply the velocity to the ADSR. So let's say that you can go minimal or you can go maximal.
Yeah.
So for example, if you want to have like a couple of very complex voices, you can. If you want to have a lot of voices very simple, then you can.
Yeah, and for things like, as we'll see later, I have a small voice made of 2 modules. Having a really stable pitch tracking, velocity responding oscillator voice, full voice to FM with would be really cool, because I want to jam on the modules I want to jam on, but having the source already be complete and nice, velocity, dynamics. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been very exciting to put in place this voices system. It can get a little bit cumbersome if you are not into the musical side of things.
But then you keep it simple.
Exactly. So it's nice that you can keep it simple, pam, straight, boom, make music, CV gate, end of story. Or you can dig deep and do like this complex polyphony with stealing of the notes and all the variation on how to steal the notes, if it's the lower or the higher priority. So you can go very deep, or you can just plug it in, plug your MIDI controller and just make music.
Yeah, or it could just be clocks. It could just be a clock and loads of dividers that just sync to your rig, and it's just...
Yeah. Also there is the drum mode that was already present on the first one, so you can be sending the notes and having the triggers, and then trigger drum sounds. So you can have a few notes triggering the sounds, and then you can have your clock. You can have several clocks, so you can have your clock and then the clock in different divisions. Then you can have your start stop, or you can have your start and stop and then a continue. So again, you could do a very simple thing, just send notes and trigger your sounds, or do a complex rhythmical patch. Of course, we have CCs, we have the pitch bend, you have NRPNs if you are one of those. I mean, I don't know anyone that is using NRPNs, honestly, but there are people out there. They say that there is one guy in Oslo using NRPNs, and another one in Cincinnati, I think.
That's where they are.
They say.
They like them in Oslo.
So I think, yeah. So this is a little bit of a briefing on the module. The module is going to be available by the 18th of April. We are gonna be having some videos in our socials already, so you can see a little bit more on details. We will be having our quick started guide got leaked in Mod Wiggler. There was like these super clever people. You know, people find stuff. I mean, you try to hide them. Well, we didn't try too hard, honestly. Anyway, yeah, the module is gonna be there. The info is going to be there starting now, and we are very excited about this.
Yeah,
So you made some good. I don't know if someone here in the room have some questions, or maybe on the chat. I don't know if there are some questions. How do you set it up? Very good question. We have the screen here on the model. So you have the 12 ports. So on the screen is divided in 12. So you can go to one of each of the ports and then click on the port and assign the functions you want to. It's again, like we say, it's simple in order to configure things, but then you can dig deep. You can get up to 2 levels of menus. 2 levels of menus, that concept. But you don't need to get 2 levels of menus. So you just click, this is a CC, pam, working. Then you can go and trim the layer, the values, etc. So yeah, we have the screen here on the model, as I said, but people like me that are kind of finishing the 40s and our eyes are not the same as they used to be. So we have developed a web interface in order to configure the module. So you can connect to the module, and with this website you can configure it on a very visual, easy way. Then save you can store configurations on the module, but then you can store it on the computer, kind of like a C6 librarian. So those are the two basic.
Nice. With how flexible it can be, you can have your 12 voice system, your clock system, your
Question from the chat. What are the levels, the levels of the MIDI?
what?
Okay, so yeah, question from the chat. What are the levels? One of the many things you can configure on the module is you can configure the MIDI channel, then you can configure the levels. So the available levels are 0 to 10, 0 to -10, 0 to 8, because there is people out there that use 8 volts.
There's 8 volt
For some reasons.
envelopes,
Yeah, you know, people do that things. And then well, we do it as well. I mean, what can you do? What can you do if you find VCAs that only open at 8 volts and your envelopes are 10 or the other way around? It gets messy. So we implemented 8 volts, -5 and +5 as well.
Okay.
Yes.
If you, for example, use a MIDI controller, let's say Launchpad XL, can you just plug it in and it works like it powers the MIDI controller?
Okay, so there is a question if you can power MIDI controllers from the module. Short answer is yes. Longer answer is yes, but.
So it will be a MIDI host.
Yeah, this is something we didn't mention. So the module, you have a MIDI host input that will power your MIDI controller. You have MIDI in and MIDI out, and then there is a little breakout expander that will have a MIDI device. So again, short answer, yes. But this module will be using your 5 volts rail, meaning that if you get that like a normal, for example, this Arturia case step, it has around 100 milliamps power consumption. So any simple controller will go from 50 milliamps to 100 milliamps, which is perfect for any power supply, anything.
Kind of like another module.
If you want to plug a monster, I will strongly recommend to plug it in. Strongly. My hand in my heart. No, I mean, come on. They can get power hungry, and you are relying on your power supply or on a power supply on a module. So just, be gentle.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think that we are good. No more questions here. So we have talked about the MIDI thing, which is over there. Everything needed. All the information will come on time. It's going to be available on your favorite reseller. It will get in pre-sale soon, but it will go out for sale the 18th of April.
Okay.
So, we have more modules to talk about. We have some sounds. We have a very nice patch here that we have been talking about MIDI thing, which is nice. Talking is nice, but maybe we can listen to something. So Ben and Diego have prepared a patch here on this system, so maybe we can listen a little bit to what's coming. The big part of the patch that you are going to be listening now It's made around the two new modules that are going to be presented. Surprise, surprise.
With a little special crush delay secret sauce.
Crash delay needs to be there, of course. Crash delay needs to be there, of course. So yeah, we went to the question. So I think I'm gonna leave you the stage and leave you, do some make some tunes.
I'll play for a minute.
Yes.
Okay. See Chris. I love the crush delay. Yeah, I'd like to introduce Diego from Befaco, and we'll pull the patch. We'll start talking about these other two new modules. Diego, come through.
Hello.
So
Nice to be here today.
yeah. So we were having fun with this yesterday.
Yeah.
Humming that
Yeah, we were
That's been
walking
the
like.
soundtrack to the whole trip. I can start pulling the patch and we'll kind of build back to this if people have questions, but maybe start with the Pony VCF.
Yeah.
Tell us what it is, where it comes from.
Well, it's a low pass filter. So what to say? No, it's you can say why one more filter? No, but well, it's our take in having a small filter with nice sound and a very precise response for do what you want to do, no? And then it's a little different approach on the ladder filter, the classic Moog filter. It's the Dave Rossum version, which is pretty similar in sound, but it's like more compensated and it's like more easy to control to me. And there is like a 3-channel mixer on board, so you can mix 3 different signals, 3 oscillators, noise is the classic, but you can do any other more crazy stuff like putting different drum sounds or whatever you want. And there is also a VCA on it because we are in this Eurorack age where everybody wants in the less space possible, the more functions possible, no? The very dense modules. So we just added a VCA because we can. And it's handy to have a VCA after your filter, so you can send the same signal, the same CV at the same time to the cutoff and to the VCA and have a simple voice with only this and maybe one oscillator and one envelope.
We'll come to the oscillator, but it was just the oscillator into it, and then the VCA and the filter. I could have mixed even more in. There's plenty of CV on board, CV for the VCA.
Yeah, you have CV for the VCA, you have one common CV for cutoff and the VCA itself, which you can choose with a switch. There is a second CV control, voltage control resonance too. Yeah, what else you need? It's a volume compensated, so while you crank the resonance, the volume do not go down, so you can just it's because it happens many times with filters, you just tune up the resonance and you feel like the volume is just going down or you miss some bass. No, here is compensated for that. Yeah, it's.
Can we hear it?
Yeah, well, all the sounds we hear before, it's good to say, the only audio chain we had before in this his micro performance was only the next module we will introduce and the Pony filter, so you can make an idea of the texture and it.
I presume everyone in the room loves filter sweeps. I love filter sweeps.
Yeah.
So we could maybe demo it with like a simple saw wave or something first.
Like a filter sunshine.
Yeah, yeah. So if we just take a saw wave in from the, I'll tell you what, we'll take a square, and we have, where is our sound?
Because maybe the VCA is not in the, so it's the input here, it's not the signal coming in. Right. Let's try it with this oscillator. Yeah, that's the cable.
And then we're not getting any.
No, maybe it's the.
The nice thing with the mixer as well, there's a couple of LEDs, like a simple VU meter, is actually driving the input stage, which you can do just with one input. You don't have to keep stacking them up.
Yeah, there's also a soft clipper before you get into the filter stage, so you can generate some harmonics before you go into the filter. Just in case your wave shape is so simple, you put a triangle or something that filtering is not very effective because you don't have many harmonics. You can just turn up a little bit the input and generate some harmonics before you get in.
And then the little trick as well, the third channel on the mixer routes the output back to the input, so you have an inbuilt feedback path as well.
Yeah, it's a feedback. It's a classic technique in the synthesizers, no, from the old age, to put the headphone output again to the synth. So here it's already on the third channel.
Yeah, I'll just do some really simple sweeps. I'll move the level and the feedback and cut off and resonance. Resonance kind of chokes when it feeds back. It gives
Yeah.
that kind of second wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, it's kind of an unpredictable parameter, but it was like, okay, but why not? No? It's this kind of parameter, last minute feature, like, yeah, let's put this.
Yeah, as you say, it's the classic mono synth of headphone out back to the external input. So as you say, you can modulate both the filter cutoff and the VCA.
Yeah, you have independent inputs, or with a switch you can choose if the CV1 is also going to the VCA.
So single cable, we could just take the clock to an envelope and we can just route straight to both.
Yeah, exactly.
So just the VCA or both, and you kind of have like a pseudo low pass gate. You're coupling tonal movement with volume movement.
Yeah, many times for some bass sounds without envelope is enough. So why to have two routes for the same? No?
Yeah, well, we were staring at your Roland SH2 yesterday.
Exactly. Yeah,
one envelope. So
One
the
envelope
filter
and
movement and the VCA has to be the same anyway.
Many times it's
And really nice and snappy. Responds really well to fast envelopes. Audio rate modulation is very nice. It's maybe something we can quickly do while that plays as well. Yeah. Nice sounding filter with a mixer, with a VCA, feedback, 6 HP, doesn't feel cramped.
yeah, it's the perfect companion for the Pony VCO. So we have this
Stable of
this
ponies.
Pony
Yeah,
stable, and you can put it just close to it, and maybe a couple of them, and have a perfect voice with it.
One thing I found I liked, that we don't have lots of drums here to work this way, but is using it almost like a back end for a drum mix.
Yeah.
Where you bring in some drum sounds, because you have the VCA, you can build a compressor with envelope followers, and you have your compression and mixing, and it works well as a kind of back end tends to be the word.
Yeah,
I
you
use for
can
that.
see it in both ways, no? Like a filter with a mixer, or you can think, no, it's a mixer with a filter.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the same, but it's the other way around, no? Where you can, the classic is, okay, it's a filter with a mixer, okay, let's put some VCOs and some noise, no? This is like the classic way of thinking, but why not put in 3 different drum sounds, and you can open and close your hats, and you can play with it. Yeah.
Right at the end of the chain before the crush delay. Filler it all down.
Why not?
Does anyone have any questions in the room or in the chat about the Pony VCF? Anything people want to hear that we can
There's a
patch
question
up?
on the chat. The cutoff of the knob also controls the VCA?
Yeah, so the question was, does the cutoff knob also control the VCA? There's CV input 1 can be routed to both. It's just on a little switch here on the module. So you can have a single envelope that just routes to CV1, and there's an attenuator for the frequency cutoff, or you can flick it to control both. But as well as that, the VCA has an independent CV input you can use as well as, or instead of, and there is a second CV input for the filter as well that you can use as well as the other one.
Yeah, and the manual control is only for the cutoff.
Yeah, the VCA is normalized fully open if you just want to use it as a filter. And when you patch in to control the VCA, your external signal takes over. Yeah, Moog style.
It's like the Moog transistor topology, but it's a Dave Rossum variation. He did a very clever variation where the electronics looks the same from the surface, but it's different how they are treated. It's kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for people that like to know, is it the Fat Keys chip from
Yeah,
SSI?
it's the Fat Keys chip. Yeah,
SSI
exactly. Yeah.
Fat Keys chip. So you get that kind of classic Moog style sound, but as you say, without the distortion that's associated with that.
Yeah,
and
exactly. He were looking for eliminate the distortions on it.
Yeah, a purer, more perfect circuit.
Yeah, he's a
Clever guy, Dave
he's a clever
Rossum.
guy.
Yeah. Cool. Is there anything anyone would like to hear while we're talking about it? Some particular modulation or anything we can patch for anyone in the room or the chat?
Can we hear itself resonating?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So, resonance going up full. The question was, can we hear it resonating?
The resonance is temperature compensated, so you don't have different resonance depending on how hot is your synthesizer. And also the tracking is compensated against temperature, so both are very stable. Because it's very annoying when you get the scene that is you want to ping the filter or something, and you play like in the limits, and then 15 minutes later it goes wild and you don't know why, and this kind of stuff should be avoided.
Especially with the tiny resonance knob, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's temperature compensated.
Yeah.
Yep, so this is the sequence I was playing with earlier. To sequence it, it takes frequency modulation very well. So this is self-oscillating with square wave coming into frequency.
And feedback. Which is like eating itself like that.
And because the VCA is after the filter, you could just turn that into, and I've got a demo video coming on the Pony VCF next week, and I joked that that becomes a Pony voice
Yeah.
at that point. So if we patch in the envelope we had to VCA, becomes a simple sine wave voice that you can frequency modulate as well. Cool. Should we move on to Octus VCO?
Yeah.
So this is an interesting idea. It's quite different for a VCO in general. I guess, what is it and where did the idea come from?
Well, the Octus VCO is a modern take of an idea I saw in some old Roland scenes, like SH3 and SH7, where in the VCO, instead of having like an octave control, where you can jump from different octaves, you have a mixer of octaves. So it's like taking the idea of the sub-oscillator and putting it like 6 times, let's say. But in the classic scenes, it's usually like a divider. And this is the totally new electronics where we are like multiplying from the core's frequency. So it's a triangle core oscillator with some frequency doublers, and from each of them we are extracting the pulse width, the pulse shape, where we can do pulse width modulation to all the octaves at the same time. In these classic samples like SS3 and SS7, you have all these sub octaves, but the pulse width is fixed. And we did the other way around, so you can modulate all the pulses at the same time and have this castle-like shapes. No, we can usually also like if you divide by 2 square waves and you zoom them, you get like a staircase, no, at the end. But if you double triangles and then you zoom the square waves you get from them, all add on the middle, so you get like a different shape. Yeah, it sounds different.
Yeah, so you have control over all 6 octaves.
Yeah, 6 octaves with VCAs each.
Yep, each has a VCA. These blend together. Maybe make more sense if we let people hear it and kind of turn them up as we go. So this is the bass octave square, and I'll just turn each one up and down, let you hear how they kind of stack up in octaves. And then individually, I'll just bring them all up and down one by one. Yeah. Each one has a VCA. they mix, but they normalize with their mixing. So if you just wanted to use the top three together and the bottom three, you can.
Yeah. Also, you can have submixes. So the output more on the right will zoom all the empty outputs from the left. So you can have like 3 different mixes with 2 and 2, or you can patch them in stereo, like 1 octave for the left and the other for the right. It's up to you. You can have a bass with 2 of them and do some hats with other, because it's 6 octaves, so it's very, very far away in the spectrum, no? So you can do different part of your sound.
And you get a kind of analog flavor of additive synthesis when you kind of leave a gap, when you have the bottom octave and then you add some higher ones, like this. Kind of sounds like old retro game, because it's all squares. It's got that kind of like chiptune-y kind of sound to it as well.
And it's very dynamic, because then you can CV control the proportions between them, no? And you can change the pulse width at the same time, like. Very synthetic.
Yeah. So I'll really quickly just repatch some envelopes in, which is what I was doing in the previous kind of little performance, just triggering 4 different envelopes and having different timing for where they come in. Envelopes out to the levels. Having that movement on top of the bass wave, I think that's my favourite thing with it at the moment. So the bass wave and then bringing in each octave.
There's like a pedal with a lower range.
Really nice. Does anyone have you have 2 volt per octave inputs, which I think is always a good
I
thing.
always like to have 2, because I like to have a sequence running and then being able to transpose from a keyboard or something else. No?
Yeah.
And then you have a hard sync, which add even more harmonics to the thing, and of course PWM.
Yeah, let's hear some hard sync. Hard sync's really nice. So.
Yeah.
Super chip tune. Cool. Does anyone have any questions about the Octus VCO?
What size is it?
I think it's 12 HP, I think. Yeah, looks like 12.
Yeah, 12 I guess.
Yeah, I have one here if you want the people. Well, it's maybe difficult to see from there, but the people who is here, you can take a look if you want.
So they are asking on the chat about DIY version.
Of course. They are asking in the chat for if it will be a DIY version. Yes, of course. As far as we as we can, we will do always a DIY version. Sometimes it gets hard because the modules are getting very complex, and sometimes in this one it's like 6 VCAs. It's like a lot of circuitry, so in this a lot of the components will be pre-soldered, but we will still sell the version to solder all the connectors and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and nicely, which, like on the Pony VCO, you have the octave switch and the tune, which I always really welcome, because then the octave switch itself becomes a performative thing.
Yeah.
Plus you've got the 6 octaves with the squares. It becomes interesting.
Yeah, also I like the range on the tune, so you can, if you are combining with other VCOs, you can get very fine tune for when tuning two oscillators and stuff like that. This is full range. In the biggest range, you can move through all the audible range, like 2020, and in the second one you move around 1 octave, and in the third one you move around 1 semitone, more or less. So you can do very little the tunes between oscillators and do some beating and yeah.
All response to audio rate modulation. Audio rate PWM is very nice, as well as audio rate over the levels.
Yeah, it's totally analog, so can go very fast. Yeah.
So you can kind of create these strange, see if you can patch it up, almost like how Yamaha DXFM works, where you have these operators where one modulates the other. We could take one output to modulate the level of the one before it. These kind of
self-touching.
So you've 6 octaves of squares, so it's a really wide range.
Yeah, sounds very electric, like very artificial. Is how we like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the room, in a few minutes, we'll welcome people to come up and play. They're welcome to come and patch and play on the system, ask questions. Any other questions in the room or in the live chat? No, we're good. Everybody is stunned. You've given all the information that they need.
There is a question on the chat. What is the lowest frequency of the octaves?
The lowest frequency without the external CV. On the lowest octave, I think you are in C-2, if I'm correct. But then with CV, you can go like probably 5 octaves lower, kind of.
So those pyramids then will become like a pattern generator.
Yeah, kind of a ziggurat
stairs
pattern. Well, it's not really designed for CV control, because was a design decision, but of course, yeah, you can go very low and do some patterns for sample and holds or stuff like that.
Yeah, and then if you had it as sub audio and you were, say, quantizing the result a bit like a sequence, then PWM would modulate the sequence, and changing the levels would modulate as well, introducing more steps. I'm thinking as we go. This is literally it's not something I've tried, so I want to try to make a kind of strange abstract square pattern generator out of it.
I don't know if we can see well from the streaming, from the camera, the oscilloscope, but the shapes that it generates are quite interesting to the eye, so probably very useful also for the video community. So this is the output, isn't it? Okay, so I will put this here. We can just see. Let's go one by one. So here we have the square wave. Okay, and then the second one. Now it's very low. I will put it a little bit up. I don't know if it's possible to appreciate from the streaming, but how the different waves interfere is it's really nice for the.
thing, just as a real soft spot for me, audio rate PWM is nice because, as you say, all the squares move,
Yeah.
not just one.
Let's try.
Yeah. So a single square wave, audio rate PWM.
With a bipolar signal, you can go to the middle because it's adding, so you can move from the middle to.
Let's first just go through an attenuator, just so we can control the level.
It's that level control.
Of course. And then start to add the octaves on top. It just takes a little bit of nudging to find those like really golden tones, and it's usually horrible all the way in between because of the nature of tuning to analog oscillators, but then you lock into these really nice tunings. Yeah. Well, if there's no more questions, thank everybody on the stream, and everybody in the room can come and have a go and patch and play. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cool. Come up and have a go. Pull the cables and we can have some play around.